whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto, whole nother level, but still keep it ghetto, whole nother level.
Welcome to episode 18 of The Process of Hip Hop. I'm Brian Joseph, writer, blogger, theprocessofhiphop.com, and as always, it's all about the process. In today's interview segment, I'll be talking to RianWyld. Ryan is an MC from the Bronx, New York, who is also a songwriter as well as a pianist. So let's get into it. I'd like to welcome to the Process of Hip Hop podcast, all the way from the BX Bronx. Ryan, what's going on? How are you?
How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. So I wanted to start with, if you could tell us about your background and specifically, like, how did you get interested in hip hop?
Well, I always loved rap music. I always loved hip hop growing up. Like, I remember just looking at the Hypnotized music video. That's very vivid in my memory as a little girl. All the Bad Boy stuff, very, very vivid in my memory as a child. So that definitely influenced me. But and even as a little girl, I would rap and make up freestyles with my cousins, just joking around. But I never really thought I wanted to rap until my freshman year of college. That's when I took it serious. I was a music student playing the piano, and I always had dreams of being in an orchestra on Broadway or something, maybe a music teacher. But then a family friend of mine was murdered, and I wrote my first rap. And that's when I did it that first time, I just continued it from there.
Okay. Now you said something interesting. So you are a general musician first. Would that be accurate to describe you as like a musician in general, and less of a rapper? Or how would you describe yourself? Because again, you play the piano. I know that. But you are, like you said, you're also somewhat of a music major. So how do you describe yourself? Is it a musician first and rapper second, or what?
Oh man, I would say I'm equally a musician and an MC, and I would just say that because that's how I started. But for some years, I kind of did fall off on the piano.
Mhm.
But I definitely got back to it. So I would say I'm a musician first because I just feel like it's a more well-rounded term. I feel like
Mhm.
it covers both. Where if I just say I'm a rapper, people's gonna think that's my only talent. And I
Right.
do songwriting, play the keys, rap, sing a little bit.
And that's why I wanted to clarify that, because of what you just said. A lot of misconceptions about rappers is that, number one, that's all they do, and number two, that they are not musical heads to begin with. There's a lot, especially hip hop artists that are fans of a variety of different genres, and hip hop artists that also play musical instruments, and MCs or producers that play other instruments. And so
take me back to the part of your career where you really started becoming serious about your rapping.
So the tragedy happened. I was actually influenced by Ryan Leslie because he was the first time. Actually, my older brother has shown me this video. He's like, "Yo, look at this dude. He's making the whole beat and he's rapping over it." And it was, I think it was the song "Addiction." I don't know, but that's when I was first inspired. Like, yo, that's really dope. So I made the first song, and then honestly, shortly after that, I wrote a second song. Like it wasn't a tribute. It was just I don't know, it was a song about heartbreak or something like that. Just something like another situation on my life. Once I did that first song, shortly after that, I wrote a second song, then the third song, and I was just in love. I'm like, yo, I want to do this. Because I was never fully set on teaching. I knew I wanted to perform, but it was almost instantaneously. I I wrote the songs, and then I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get in the studio because my older brother had rapped too, and I had cousins that rapped. So I don't know, it was just it became really quickly like I'm trying to make this my career. Like shortly after I wrote that first song, I was trying to just really get fully into it.
So did you take those two songs that you wrote, and did that become your first hip hop project, or what was like your first hip hop project like? Where you act? Did you like what was that? Was it those first two songs? Were those kind of the impetus for it, or what was the first project like?
It's actually really crazy because I haven't even officially released a full project like on any streaming
Hmm.
platforms. I just been writing music for like almost 10 years now, and I'm just about to release my first official project this upcoming year in 2020. And the
Wow.
second song I ever wrote is gonna be on it. It's been like revised a little bit, but I have
Hmm.
made it up on the piano, like the hook. So I made it better. Like my verses are better because in that time I've become so much better at writing. So it's been a long time coming, but my first project's actually going to be out. Hopefully my goal is the first quarter of the year.
Okay, so tell me about the production on this album that you're planning on releasing.
Yes. A couple tracks on there I co-produced. Um,
Hmm.
and then I'm working with this producer, DeRoe. He's from out here, Queens. He's actually originally from Jamaica. He's really dope. He's produced a couple records on there. Um, I have a producer, Black Amish. He's actually from out your way in Cali that
Hmm.
honestly just reached out to me over Instagram. Like since I started rapping, uh, I've had like, I would just put up my freestyles and people have reached out to me. Even DeRoe, like I didn't know him. I never met him in person. He might have reached out to me on Twitter or Instagram like a few years back. Now he's produced like, half of my project. Um, the other producer and every producer I met, I've met on social media. Um, but yeah, so it's myself and those two producers. I might have another one, um, Pyro Heat from out in New York, that's on it. But as far as the beats, uh, I haven't, I don't fully produce my music yet in that way. That shit is
Hmm.
hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah, yeah, no doubt. That's something that takes time. But I mean, as far as your style, and I want everybody to check her out on Instagram. You have a very much it has a kind of a couple different influences in it. I feel like when I'm listening to your music, it definitely has a native tongue, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that kind of style, but that Tribe Called Quest kind of really has a jazzy tone to it, feel to it in your music. I mean, what were some of the influences? I mean, you talked about Hypnotized, so obviously Biggie the Icon, that's going to be an influence, but who were some of the influences like when you like who do you pattern your rap style after, or is it kind of a combination of a lot of different rappers?
um, I think it is a combination of people. When I rap, like um, I don't try to sound like anyone in particular. I just try to sound my best. Like I just try to enunciate my words as possible. And, I focus on my breathing and I'll think about like the cadence in my voice. And again, growing up, it's amazing because now with social media, you see these kids that are so young that have these dreams of rap. I just turned 27 this year. So growing up, I never had the dream of like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper again until I was in college. But if now looking back, like when I look back at the music I would listen to, um, I think I would have influenced the artist that I was listening to, and that's like TLC, like Lisa Left Eye, Lauren Hill. I could go hard like Nicki. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like Jay-Z. I again, not saying that I sound like them, but these are just this is the music that I grew up on listening to, and I can't deny that I'm influenced, what I'm saying, and inspired by the music I grew up listening to. So I think, I'm not surprised if people will hear hear those artists in my music.
What is your perspective on female MCs in the game?
Yeah, being one, I feel like, we're really killing it. I mean, there's things that I
Mhm.
see that I like and things that I see I don't like. I'm definitely with like I get what makes me really excited is when there's a female that's writing her own shit and really, what I'm saying, talking
Yeah.
her shit. Cause I can't I'm really into it. Like all these female rap blogs, the small ones, like I really be finding so many dope female MCs, and it's part of the industry. With women, like it's never been the way that, we have to look good. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We have to sound good, and I know for facts there's definitely like men that are, writing for women, and I don't knock it. It just, that's not what excites me. What excites me is seeing a girl that's being original, you know what I'm saying, and overcoming all the obstacles. Like, I don't know if you heard of this girl named Chica, but
Yeah.
you have heard of her?
Yeah, I've heard of her for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and stuff like that excites me because, you know what I'm saying, she owns her look. Her pen is crazy, first of all. Anyone with a crazy pen and delivery and flow, that's what excites me. And there's so many women and girls that's coming out that's really about that life. And then I feel like at the same time there's the other half where is girls that's not writing they shit and they're pushing a look. I'm saying what we look like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I'm not mad at it because I get that rap music is like a hustle, but that shit is just, it's not my cup of tea.
And it's always it's been like that, I think, for a long period of time, not just in hip hop, but obviously in a variety of other genres where you see where, because sex sells, so you're gonna have a woman that's marketed more for her looks and not necessarily for her talent. But I think again, hip hop has prided itself on remaining true, keeping it real. Again, whatever terminology you want to use for the time period, and you've had female MCs that have been very much organic with their process and have been writers. Obviously, Queen Latifah comes to mind. MC
Yep.
Light comes to mind, where again you have and again kind of fast forward to today, you have a Rhapsody who
Yeah, I love
is
Rhapsody.
definitely an MC, and not just a good female MC, but a good MC, period. And I think most females obviously want to be considered in that same tone where you're not just being compared to other females, but being compared amongst your male counterparts as well. So what would be okay, so you're trying to release this album this first quarter. Now, what it would be if you had your ideal.
Like if I could think of like the craziest collaboration, like in my mind's eyes, it would definitely be Jay-Z, just because like I grew up loving him so much. Like that's just like
Of
icon
course.
status, you know what I'm saying? Like out of my
Hmm.
wildest dreams that I wouldn't expect. But um Drake would be cool because he sets a vibe. Uh, for a whole decade, he been doing that. Nicki, I would love Eve. Grew up loving her. J. Cole, I would love. Kendrick, I would love. Like, I would actually love to be a part of like their team, like Dreamville or TDE. I just love everything that they do. Um, I would love to collab with some singers too. Like, I would. There's so many people that honestly, like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely trying to do that.
Hard.
Fab, it's so
Mm.
many people out, like anybody that's dope. And that even goes, I be looking for my DMs, artists that's not even unknown, um to collab with and just make good music.
So, what's the best way for people that, again, they're hearing this and they want to stay on top of what you're doing and your future projects, current and future? What's the best way for them to do that?
Definitely follow me on Instagram, turn those notifications on. Follow me on RianWyld. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. Everything is under RianWyld. So whatever social media that they prefer, definitely link me on that. Um, or my website, RianWyld.com. And definitely just keep their eyes and ears out. The album will definitely be out, if not first quarter, second quarter. But I'm definitely going for that first quarter.
Ryan, best of luck to you in the future. Thank you so much for joining the Process of Hip Hop. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Process of Hip Hop. Join us next week for our next episode. Process of Hip Hop is produced and edited by me, Brian Joseph. Executive produced by Dale Harewood. Music by DJ Big Mike of Real Side Records at realsiderecords.com.